And
We are the only show for independents all around, giving you a platform to spread your word all over town. Catch the Craze is the place to promote to your fans with the dream of Medina and Sam the Crazy Man. Subscribe to our show and never miss an episode. It's time to get your meds, listen to us on the go. Updated every week, we never miss a day. Join the squad, come on in. It's time to catch the Craze. If you are an independent, catch the Craze. Making moves on your own, catch the Craze. On your grind in the streets, catch the Craze. Join the movement, catch the Craze.
yeah, George, we did it again. Come on now. You know you want to do it. Catch the Craze. Welcome to Catch the Craze podcast. I am your host with the most, Sam the Crazy Man, and I am with
George, the dreamer, That actually sounds a little better. I can actually hear it a little bit.
a little bit.
A little bit.
So,
Poquito.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Have a holly jolly Christmas. It's the best time of the year.
You know what? Christmas has to be one of my favorite holidays, dude.
Yes.
Definitely one of my favorites. Definitely love Christmas. That is top of the list. I think that is my favorite. Yeah, I can't think of anything better than Christmas, actually.
See, I'm gonna be a Debbie Downer for a second. Christmas was always my favorite until I lost my mom a week before Christmas. When I was
no way.
Yeah, when I was 19 years old, and
a week before Christmas?
it was devastating. It was devastating, and I
cow.
remember tearing all the decorations down, and for a minute I didn't celebrate Christmas for at least a few years.
Yeah.
And then I started dressing as Santa Claus for my family. Then I started doing it for work, and I was dressing as Santa Claus for my team. And I didn't stop. I think the last I haven't done it in 3 years, but I did it for like maybe 14 years straight. I dressed as Santa Claus.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn.
But yeah, it was always my favorite. I mean, when I think Christmas, I think of Home Alone. I love that.
Home Alone.
I think March of the Wooden Soldiers.
Yeah.
You know, Charlie Brown
Home
Christmas right behind me.
Yeah, which is now on Apple TV.
Yes, you know.
They took it off of network television and put it on Apple TV.
Yeah. But before we go into Christmas, we have a guest today.
Yes. Our guest today is he's a comic book artist. I believe he's the writer of the comic, right?
Yeah, he created the comic, I believe, and he will be on the show promoting
Mr. Richard Davis.
promoting his not so Christmas comic book. You know, but we'll get to talk to him and get learn a little about his influences and the book that he created. So that's pretty dope and exciting. So we're looking forward to that.
Yes. Welcome everybody to episode 217 of Catch the Craze.
Wow.
December 25th. This is episode 217. Guest, like Sammy said, was Richard Davis today. And our I mean, we're not getting into it yet, but our Get Your Meds topic of the day is going to be, what are your printing options? Go to print. So we'll be talking a little bit about printing, being that Christmas is around the corner. I'm sure a lot of you independent publishers want to maybe get a book out and you want to get it to people's hands. So we'll be talking a little bit about printing options for you.
Yes, and I actually like that little design that you did, Mr. George A. Porgy. It looks really good.
You know what? It almost gave me the idea that maybe our Catch the Craze newsletter maybe can look something like that. You know what I mean?
Hello. That's what I'm talking about. Yes, hello. Speaking of hello, I love all of the Medea's movies.
Like the Madea
yes, and I love
movies.
the Halloween ones. They're hilarious.
Yeah. Tyler Perry's a great writer, dude.
Genius.
That guy, bro,
Genius.
from where he came from to where he is right now, I mean, he is definitely...
I'm putting it out in the universe.
Oh.
if I ever have the opportunity to be in a Tyler Perry movie as a cameo, a stand-in, a stuntman, whatever, I'd love to just for the opportunity to see his process. I'd love to be on the fly on the wall just to watch his process because I watched his interviews with Oprah and I watched the secret to his genius, and just the humility, but also the drive, considering what the challenges were in his life. Fantastic story of thought over matter. You know what I'm saying? Is that what you project is what you can achieve instead of allowing the influences to define you. He defined himself based on the circumstances. Took the best lessons learned and applied them. I think that's fantastic. So I just love what he does, and I'm a big fan.
It's a great story of from rags to riches, right? It's like a rags to riches tale of like this man who, and correct me if I'm wrong, he was homeless, right? Like he was living like out of his freaking car. And
he went through some stuff. He went through some stuff. I mean, he lost a bunch of buddies. One to a shooting, one to drugs. He went through he had some challenges, and it's just a beautiful story how he went from the underdog to one of the biggest movie production empires in Hollywood. He has his own compound. He has his own Hollywood set. Studio, his own studio. It's not even in Hollywood. It's not even in Hollywood. You know, and it's like he films a lot of movies, even stuff that he doesn't directly produce. Movies that are using his sets. It's crazy.
Right. Yeah. No. It's definitely a great story, Mr. Tyler Perry. But so what are you doing for Christmas, man? What's going on for Christmas?
Christmas time is here. Time for joy. Time for So, guys, I want you guys to recognize one thing. Every time, and I'm just adjusting the camera, every time I break into song, you need to watch George closely because he tends to squirm in his seat. He's like, oh, he's doing it again. I can see it in his eyes. He's like, he's doing it again.
Get to it.
he's like, you know what it is? It's like the kid where the father is not cool and the father goes and wants to dance at the school prom with his daughter and they're like, no, please, no. And she squirms. That's what George is doing. He's like, oh, damn, he's doing it again.
This guy. Sing a song I know. I did know that song. But go ahead. So what are you doing?
I wanted to go visit Desiree's family for Christmas, but every place is a quarantine place. And so we can't be away for 14 days. I wanted her to go for like a few days, but you'd have to stay there for 14 days and, whatever, because Texas is a quarantine place and I believe Colorado is. So it's like, so we're just going to chill. We'll probably just, if it snows, build a snowman in the lawn and, nice. Have some hot apple cider and some nog and pumpkin pie and just chill.
Well, so pulling back the curtain, we are recording this show at the beginning of November. Okay.
Oh!
So cat's out of the bag, bro. Cat's
yes.
out. And the reason why I say that is because as of a couple of weeks ago, I'm supposed to be going to Cali.
I'm going back to Cali.
And then
this guy's got deep pockets. He's always somewhere. Deep pockets.
My family's in Cali, so I had to go out
there. That B is for balling. I'm just saying.
But in what you call it, in December, for the last 3 years, I've been going to my girlfriend's family in Illinois, right? And I don't know if you saw that there was an alert that said it's not 14 days anymore. So basically what happens is when you fly out of the state and I'm going to Cali, right? I land in Cali 3 days before I fly back to New York, I have to take a test. Okay. If I'm positive, I can fly back to New York. Once I'm in New York, I have to quarantine for 3 days and then take a test again.
They'll let you get on the plane even though you're positive?
No. If you're positive, you're staying.
You just said if I'm positive.
No. So you have to take the test. Right?
If you're negative,
if I'm negative,
I
got
if I'm
negative, I fly. If I'm positive, I stay. But if I'm negative, I fly, come to New York, and then I quarantine for 3 days, and then I have to take another test and make sure and see if I'm positive or negative. Obviously, if I'm positive, I'm quarantined for 14 days, but I'm in New York. If I'm negative, then I can just go about my regular life.
So you know what he just said was, Sam, get your facts straight. He just schooled me.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could have done. I could have done.
He said, "Yeah."
I'm like, come on, man, stop acting up, bro.
Stop acting up.
But that could very well be what you just said. Could
Yeah.
very well be our life, December 25th. So
Yes.
you may be right,
Especially
you know
with
what I'm
the
saying?
spikes.
Exactly.
And who
exactly.
knows?
So that
Well,
may very well be that.
we
yeah.
are in October, and although this is the Christmas special, in fact, what am I doing there? I gotta go back to the main screen. Here's this Christmas screen. So,
that's cute.
and this is the last day to vote.
Mm.
So, tensions. Everyone's on high alert and everyone's tense. I mean, it's the first time in my life I see the building, the wall around the White House. That's
Well,
crazy.
Right. So it's weird, right? Because you're recording this show now. This is what's happening now. But like, what will the world look like December 25th?
Will we even be
So,
here?
I
Or will
can't
this be an
wait- yeah, right.
archive, a
Will this
testimonial?
will this show be like aired December 25th? That's interesting.
Kind of
But
spooky.
wow, that is spooky. Well, listen, we have 15 minutes.
So let's
before
go
our
in to
guest
get your
shows.
meds. So hold on.
Get your meds.
I
son.
moved all of my stuff around and I gotta see where this. Oh,
We
here it
gotta
is.
talk about that new studio.
Oh yeah. Well.
It's time for your medicine.
So, get your meds. The topic of the day is go to print.
Meds. Go to print.
Why that
What are your
subject,
printing
Georgie?
options? So yeah, with the Christmas holiday upon us, I was thinking, you know what? People may want to get some printed copies of books for their loved ones. And as an independent publisher or creator or whatever you guys want to call yourselves,
Creator.
I'm sure that you guys have books that you're thinking, man, how do I get these things printed? Now, Sam and I have been doing this for many, many years. Despite the fact that Sam went away and came back, we used to print on demand, even back then. All right. A lot of the printing that we did was, I knew a guy who had a printing press. We stapled it. But the print on demand option started becoming more and more open and available to us as we developed. What was the last one do you remember what was around when you were still in the game printing or no?
Back in the days when I was young, I'm not a kid anymore. But
See, I
some
know that
days
one.
I wish I was a kid again. So back in the days, Kablam was around.
Kablam,
Yeah,
okay.
we used Kablam. I remember using Kablam, and there was another one that
Comics Press.
Comics Press. There you go.
That's what it was.
Yes.
I couldn't remember it the other day. It was Comics Press.
Yes.
I don't think Comics Press is around anymore.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I'll Google it. But yeah, so I kind of narrowed it down to there are 5 that I know of, 2 of which I have used. One of them is Kablam, obviously. Now, the thing with Kablam, and I have a couple of, and I have a book actually here that I use, that I printed through Kablam. And let me see if I can just show it on the screen here. It's my good old graphic novel, Russ. So this was printed through Kablam. You got you got the on the side there, the
Russie.
cover. Yeah, the graphic novel is about 144 pages.
100.
Now, yeah, they're they're not the cheapest game in town. They're not. Okay. This book probably costs about $15 a book to print. This is full color, 144 pages. Right.
Damn.
So think about how much you would have to sell it for.
Based
in order to
on
make a
what?
buck.
But it's $15 to produce at how many units? Because I guess the higher the unit, the lower the cost.
So I printed out 100 books.
Yeah, that's
100 books cost about $15 a book. Now that I'm including the shipping in that too. So I broke it down into shipping.
And you didn't choose to put their ad in the book to get a discount?
So that's not an option in the in the trades. That is an option in the comics. So like the floppies, you have the Kablam ad in the back of the book. You can either put it back there or you can put it on the inside of the book. This actually book was printed in black and white, and this cost about $2.82 to print per book. Okay. The thing with Kablam, as good as it is, and as much as I use it, it takes a while.
Yeah, they're not the fastest.
Yeah. So if you are going to print something and say you need it right away, you're not going to get it right away unless you pay extra
premium.
for shipping. But give yourselves about a month if you are going to use Kablam, give yourself about a month period. Say, okay, I got a convention, which conventions we can talk about all day. But let's say, for example, you have an event or you want to sell your book, in December. Now you should have ordered that book in November so that you have that month before it comes in. So that's Kablam. Kablam, I have, like I said, I've used that the most.
So newsflash. I just looked it up. Comics Press shut down 2013.
Did they?
Yeah, it was on the Beat. Heidi McDonald, who actually did a review of Disney in My Toilet way back in the days, I believe. I just read it. It was on the Beat, and they shut down in 2013.
Yeah. See. Yeah. So that sucks, man. The other one that I've used is Greco Printing.
Yes, I heard of them.
And was that?
I heard of them.
Yeah, Greco Printing is great. They, I remember we printed a couple of books through them when I was working with the guys over at Mass Media Studios, and
Sam. That means Sam.
They were great. They were great because what happened was they messed up one of our prints. In other words, we asked for we didn't know at the time what the difference between saddle stitch, and so we needed it saddle stitch, but we didn't know what it was at the time. They sent us the books printed a different, put together a different way. They said, you know what, don't even worry about it. We'll send you a brand new batch. And they did. So Greco Printing is great. And they're fast. They're fast. I believe they're out in Michigan, I want to say. Don't quote me on that, but they are really good. I printed out. Yeah. Don't quote me. Yeah. So I printed Wonder Duck through them. And they also do trades, and they also do floppies. So the trade was cheaper. It was about $10 for the trade to print, and then
that's better because so normally when you charge $15 a trade,
right?
And then if you're doing on discount, if you do $2, you're still making money, a
making
profit.
Something. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but if they're charging you $15 a trade, you got to mark it up to $20, and people are going to be apprehensive if you're an unknown to want to pay for that $20.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You better have something in that trade, whether it's a signature, a sketch, or something. Yeah. And that's a lot easier when you're at a convention, and we keep talking conventions. But with the pandemic, there are no conventions, so now you're selling that book for $20. People may say, that's a little much.
That's no bueno for me, man.
No bueno. So that's Greco. Greco, like I said, I've used. I do like. They are fast, and they are the least expensive out of the two. Now, the other three were recommended by our good friend of the show, Mr. Jose
Feliciano.
Yeah, Jose Feliciano. There is one that is called Page by Page.
Really? I never heard of that one.
And Finishing. Yeah, they're on Facebook. If you type in Page by Page Copies and Finishing on Facebook, they have a Facebook page. They have all of their prices on there. So I'll give you an example here. 2020 prices, black and white with color covers. If you're looking to print a 24-page book, black and white interiors, color covers, they're charging $1.70. If you want that same book in full color with the covers and everything, the interiors, you're looking at about $2.12 a book. So if you're looking to print out single issues and stuff like that, that may be a good way to go. Sounds very affordable. I don't know what their turnaround time is because I've never used them, but they also do posters, and they also do retractable banners, trade books, business cards, and for trade books, you have to either call them or send them a message for quotes. So that's Page by Page. Again, I've never used them, so I don't know what the quality is, but JD said they were great. So that's that. Okay, so that's.
Are they the ones that you do the holofoil?
That do the what?
Holofoil, because they just printed. Daphne just got a run. Daphne is JD's wife. She just did a run for her book, and she had the silver holofoil, chrome, nice. The gold foils. So I'm wondering if there was the same printer.
Huh. Yeah, I wonder. Well, he also gave me this one. So I don't know, maybe this one. This one is called Comic Impressions. And it's Comic Impressions. They look like they're based out of Florida.
I'm going to have an impression of George.
Now, when you go on their website, you have to register with the link. You got to get a username and all that other stuff. I don't have any pricing on there. But check them out. Comic Impressions. The website is comicimpressions.myprintdesk.net. So check them out. And then the other one that I've heard a lot about, and I don't know if you've heard of them, Sam, it's called Mixam, Mixam.
I like to mix my drinks.
Mixam.
So mix a lot. Baby's got back.
Mixam, wow. Mixam prints catalogs, booklets, magazines, zine printing. They do business cards, postcards, flyers, brochures. I mean, they do a whole bunch of stuff. They do hardcover books, paperback books, art books, coloring books, comic books, cookbooks, graphic novels, wedding books, yearbooks. I mean, these guys are like
They sound like
Cheech.
Yeah, they sound like Morris Publishing.
Yeah,
Because they're another one that does comic books, because they're all over Facebook ads and they're all over Instagram ads. Morris Publishing says, you want to publish your comic book, we have the best rates and blah, 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 blah. So I wonder if you guys have used Morris Publishing or any of the companies that George has just said, because I think you didn't use all of them. You've only used what, Kablam and who else?
I've used Kablam and Greco.
Greco.
Printing.
So if you guys use anything outside of it, we'd love to hear your feedback on quality, turnaround time, page, all that stuff. Rates. Did you think it was worth it?
They Maxim, I'm on their website right now. Their website is very, very user friendly. It's kind of cool. You put in all your information. So I just put in 100 copies of a colored book, standard size. It's satin cover, paperweight, how many pages? I put 24 with a staple binding. And you'll be able to get that Monday, November 9th for $251.
Nice.
So you're looking, so they pretty much, I mean, the way their website works is kind of actually cool. Although 100 books, so you're looking at about $2.50 a print. So
wow. Deuce.
Yeah, that's not bad. That's pretty good.
And
but the fact that they can give you that information right away is kind of freaking awesome.
Yeah, that is pretty dope.
Yeah. Now, if you wanted to do something like that for, let's say, for example, a 144-page, trade, you're looking at November 10th for $1,300. So
November 10th for $1,300.
Not bad.
$1,300, and that's for a trade.
That's for a trade.
Okay. So I think like for us, we're looking for a one-stop shop that can not only do the trades, but could also do the prints and also do the single issues, and also can do. I'm speaking. This is what happens when you drink wine. You speak fast, and it's like it's horrible. It's like, what the hell did he just say? He's like, so I see Richard Davis is in the rating room, and we're looking for a one-stop shop. So we'd love to hear your feedback on. Who you've used, have you stood loyal to these companies and why? Have you changed companies? Why? Who do you recommend for the Craze as we look to build an empire and take over the world? Whoa.
One last thing about Kablam is the fact that they also, and I don't know if these other ones do, and again, like Sam said, let us know if you've used them, and they do, but Kablam has a store. They have a store called indieplanet.com where once you print out your book through them, they sell your book for you on their platform, on their website.
Yes, and I thought that George was pushing for that. And so does Morris Publishing.
Morris does that too.
Yeah, okay. So we're going to look into that. I'm actually going to request samples from Morris Publishing to see the quality. In fact, every legitimate company will send you samples because they want you as a client. So always test it out, and also talk to your peers in the field and see who they recommend. That's always a good option.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that's a quick get your meds today, guys.
That's get your Medina Hayes.
So there it is. Yes. And I guess we'll be going into our guest coming up next.
We're going to go to a short commercial break. This is Coffee, and when we return, we will be with Richard Davis.
There is no better way to start the day than with a cup of joe and an episode of Catch the Craze.
I'm so crazy. You so crazy. Crazy. Who's the craziest? I'm so crazy. You so crazy. Crazy. Who's the craziest?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hello there. Welcome.
How are you?
Good. So this is George, my co-host.
Hey George, what's up,
What's
man?
going on, Richard? How are you, man?
Man, I'm doing better than I deserve. How are you?
Oh, excellent, excellent,
Well,
man,
Merry
excellent.
Christmas.
Yeah, man, right?
Merry Christmas. This is the Christmas special. And what a great way to
Absolutely.
promote a Christmas show than a book that's full of slashing and mystery and mayhem.
Yeah, this is Cult of Dracula is the perfect book for Christmas if you're really messed up in the head.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we begin, introduce yourself. Let the audience know who we're talking to today.
Yeah, hey, I'm Rich Davis, and I am the writer and creator of Cult of Dracula.
Outstanding. Outstanding. So where are you? Where do you reside now?
I'm in Knoxville, Tennessee right now. I've been here for about 5 years. I was in Wilmington, North Carolina prior to moving here.
Wow.
Sweet.
Fantastic. And is that what is that where you grew up?
You know, I was born in Middle Tennessee, a little small town called Sparta that probably no one's ever actually heard of. Usually, when you say Sparta, you think of 300 Spartan warriors.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
That's not my hometown. It's a tiny little town in the middle of Tennessee, in the dead middle of nowhere. But it was an awesome place to grow up, and it had a lot of influences on the way that I wrote Cult of Dracula. A lot of the people that you meet in the book, and a lot of the scenery. That's where I grew up. That's what I saw every day. Maybe not as dark and twisted in the book. Reality was way darker and way more. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, my hometown had a huge influence. I mean, this is a very Appalachian tale, and not backwoods Appalachian, but what life in Appalachia is actually like today.
Right.
It was a lot of fun to write. And I went to Wilmington, North Carolina, lived there for 15 years, worked in the film industry and the theater industry for a long time, and made my way back home to Rocky Top. So I'm here in Knoxville now, and loving it.
So
Sweet,
you gave us
man.
the fast forward version, but I'd like to know more about the influences and some of the things that you experienced with led and that actually influenced your mindset to say, I want to create these worlds. So what was it you experienced growing up?
Living away from Tennessee for as long as I did, I had kind of forgotten how prevalent religion and church and just religious lifestyle was in my life and my community growing up. When I was in North Carolina, church was a thing that people did on Sundays. Maybe they went on Sunday nights. Some people went on Saturdays, depending on their faith. But growing up and then that's where they left it. They would go to church and then they would go home and they'd watch football. They'd go about their daily lives. But religion and where you go to church is so much a definitive part of your life when you live in rural Appalachia that it really takes over so much of the things that you do and the way that you do them and the people that you associate with and the people that you don't associate with. So there's a very, very strong influence, that evangelical backwoods rural church feel to it. I mean, the book is all about a cult. It's a Dracula story, so there's a lot of vampires and a lot of vampire lore, but also one of the more interesting aspects of the book is the prevalence and the impact that the cult has on these people. And so you really, when I'm writing that, I experienced the lighter side of that. And so by knowing what the lighter side is like, it's easier to twist that into a dark and scary tale. Basically, what if this went really, really bad? And that was kind of the basic premise that I built it on. And then, of course, the setting where the cult compound, where the Order Dracula are situated. Anybody who's ever been through rural Appalachia, if you've gone to Tennessee or North Carolina or West Virginia, Kentucky, if you've been through those areas, you've seen this church somewhere. It's a little tiny building way back off the more traveled paths, back in the woods. There's nothing else around it. I mean, if there wasn't a church there, it would probably be just an empty cow pasture. But that in and of itself is very spooky to me. Just, this place that attracts so many people being set so far away from people. So that always kind of plants dark and sinister thoughts in my mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, I read the book today. Richard, excellent, quick read. The thing goes by really fast. I like that. Normally you read a book and you'll see a lot of like the narrator, just talking you through this thing. You kind of let the reader just sit on some of these images. Yes. There is no word. There are no words. It's just you're sitting with this character at the beginning of the book, which is different, different for a comic book. It almost feels like you're watching a movie. You know what I mean? My question is, and I see a lot of like what you're talking about as far as the town and how dark it is, even the color palette, the way you guys did that was excellent as well. But Henry Martinez, who's your artist, right?
Yes.
Did you have to send him like samples of like the scenery and what you wanted to be in order for him to get it? Like, how did you guys work that out?
Yeah, Henry and I, we clicked from the very beginning. We make a fantastic creative team, and it's really cool because I didn't know him prior to being introduced to him by our mutual friend Georges Genti. Only thing I knew about Henry before this was that he had done Ghost Rider and he'd done Morbius and a lot of books that I had read that I enjoyed. So I knew I liked his art, but I didn't know if I would like him. And I certainly didn't know if we would click, as a creative team. Sure. But Henry and I very early on found out that we have a mutual love of Preacher. The Garth Ennis book, of course, and Steve Dillon's art in that is incredible. And so when I was starting to talk about church, and Henry, of course, is Catholic, and so he was like, okay, when you're describing this church, are we talking like church that I grew up in or church that you grew up in? I was like, well, more like what I grew up in, more like Preacher. And so immediately when we started associating our church with the church from Preacher, we had a common ground to build off of. And then, Henry and I are both very big fans of authenticity and doing our research on what things should look like. Like right now, we've been going back and forth on some of the vehicles that you're going to see in issues 3, 4, and 5, and how to draw those. And so we've been, researching, what those vehicles would look like at these specific time periods, and different things. Like there's a sheriff's vehicle, from the 1940s in Johnson City, Tennessee, or Johnson County, Tennessee, excuse me. And that's very important. So we researched down to the specific logo that the police in that area would have used in 1940. So Henry and I, we trade a lot of images. I send him a lot of, I can't draw for anything. I can't draw stick figures. So I find pictures of what I want on the internet and send that to him. And then he sketches it out and sends it back to me. So we work very well together. But there's a lot of research, and probably more research than we actually need to do, because probably 90% of the stuff the readers are just they're going to miss. But Henry and I we do a whole lot of looking into and researching those things. And sorry, my dogs are just going nuts. I hope you guys can't hear that.
I thought it was George's dogs, but
I thought it was Sam's dogs. I thought it was.
But yes, answering your question in a very long-winded way, absolutely. We share pictures and do a lot of research on things.
It's beautiful, man. And the research and the work that you guys put into it really shows, you know what I mean, when you're reading the book. And like I said, it's a quick read, man. And I think part of it is that almost silent movie feel to it. That's something is that like a style of yours when you're writing?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something that, my background is in screenwriting and playwriting. I never really imagined that I would be a comic book creator. I thought I was going to be a screenwriter. I'd be living in LA, doing all those things and not being appreciated for writing film scripts. So when I write, I think in storyboards, so it's very easy for me to pull that cinematic feel. And luckily Henry has that same vibe to his art. He likes that style as well. So I was very thrilled when we were able to do the first 8 pages of Cult of Dracula #1 with no dialogue. Nobody speaks. There's no narrator. And it was tough. And a couple times going through the editorial process, it was suggested like, maybe you need to describe this, let people at least know where are they, at least give them like the little, this is the town, and I was like, no, because I don't want to break the mystique. Like whoever's reading this is a small town near you, wherever you are. This is right down the road. This is that creepy little back road off into the abandoned area where nobody lives, right near you. So I didn't want to put a lot of identifying things that would kind of pull people out of that. And then I was a huge fan of H.P. Lovecraft growing up, and one of the hallmarks of a Lovecraftian story is whatever the reader can imagine in their head is 10 times more frightening than what I can describe. So, when we see in this opening sequence, we see this horrible, horrible thing that's happened. I mean, all these people have died, and some of them have died very brutally, but there's no reason that I need to fill in the blanks. You see, Agent Brom, you see him pick up the woman and her head falls off. I don't need to tell you how that happened. You can imagine it yourself. Yeah. And then of course the thing that he finds, the woman's head falling off, isn't the most gruesome thing that he finds. That little panel right there. I'm not going to spoil that.
Yeah, you know what? I almost did, Rich. I'm glad you said that, because I almost spoiled it. I'm not even going to say what it was. But yeah, no, you're right. You're right. And you know what it is too with and I gotta commend your artist Henry on this. It's not gruesome. It's not like over the top where you're like, oh, come on, man. Like you did it for reaction. It's almost like you see it and you're like, oh man. And then you move and you're like, okay, what else? You know what I mean? Because that could turn some people off. It could turn them away. Now, I'm not saying you should write, thinking of that kind of stuff. I'm just saying it works. It works.
I like a lighter touch on things, where you can describe a very gruesome thing, but you don't have to go so far with it. I mean, I love Garth Ennis's writing, but I don't need to be Garth Ennis because the world already has Garth Ennis. Gotcha. You don't need to open up my book and the first page is an infant getting its head blown off.
Right.
Like in a walk through hell. But that works for the way Garth writes, but you're right. It can turn a lot of readers off. And we really wanted to, write something that's true to horror fans, but also appeal to people who like suspense and serial killer and true crime stories. So there's a little bit of, broadening our reach, by taking that lighter touch. And, it's been very successful thus far.
What I appreciate about the way you told this story is you took literature and you flipped it. So when you're reading a novel, you rely on your imagination to envision what those scenes will look like. And you flipped it. So now what you did was you removed the word and the dialogue, and you allowed the imagination to try to determine what's happening in the scene. So in a way, you brought the reader into the story.
Yeah.
So they become the detective.
Yeah, that's exactly that. I wanted people to take the perspective of in this first opening sequence, they're walking through this crime scene with Agent Brom. Yeah. They're seeing what he's seeing. They're taking it all in for the first time. And I love there's this beautiful little panel. I think it's on like maybe page 8 or 9, where Agent Brom is approaching the nursery building. And, you see this uniformed police officer, he's coming out and he's got 2 trash bags in his hand, one in each hand. And, Henry, I think, captured exactly what I had written in this scene, because he captured the weight that this officer was carrying on his shoulders. His shoulders are slumped, his head's kind of down. and he's got this expression on his face. He's not sobbing, he's not, hysterical, but you can tell that whatever he's seen has broken him. And you're kind of wondering what's in those two bags. And then you go into the nursery and you finally get to see what he just saw. So I love that panel, and that's indicative of the way Henry and I were able to work together to create this thing and to allow. I wanted the readers to be sucked in, and I wanted them to experience this for the first time at the same time that Brom was experiencing it for the first time.
No, that's beautiful, man. And for the audience who's listening to the podcast, if you came in late, we're talking to Richard Davis, and he's talking about his comic book called Cult of Dracula, which he wrote and gentleman by the name of Henry Martinez did the pencils on. So
Pencils
Richard,
and inks, actually.
was that?
Henry did pencils and inks on this.
He did both. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Excellent. Yeah. My other question, as far as the book goes, I read it. Like I said, I enjoyed it thoroughly. There are a lot of very interesting characters. I think her name is Mina, right? I think Mina. She's one of them. There's obviously something going on with her that we don't know what it is yet. And you kind of leave that cliffhanger. Did you write this book to be an ongoing series, or is this almost like you're going to put it in a trade and one story tells the whole thing and that's it? How did you write this?
A little bit of both. The way the story's written, it's very much like the Hammer films of the 60s and 70s. If you've seen those the Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee, Dracula films, are amazingly bad horror movies from that era. Yeah. But so the way Cult of Dracula is written, you can consume the story in one six-issue volume and get the entire story of Cult of Dracula. But the way we're going to leave it off at the end of issue 6, there's going to be another volume. And right now we're tentatively calling that Rise of Dracula. So Rise of Dracula is going to be another 6-issue volume. And then there's going to be a third volume that we're tentatively calling Reign of Dracula. And so that'll be another 6-issue series. So 666, which is just perfect.
Wow. Yeah. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Right. So yeah, you can, however you want to consume the story, we're giving you options. You can consume it as Cult of Dracula, 6 issues and you're done, and you get a full story, beginning, middle, and end. Or you can follow it through all 3 volumes, 18 issues, and read the whole trilogy if you'd like. Nice. So yeah, that's been really cool. That's also been really excellent for the way that we market it, because that stores are able to, to get invested in it. And, we've had tremendous support from our retail partners, and we're so grateful for that.
Good. That's excellent.
What was the thought process for selecting Trevor Richardson as your colorist?
Man, Trevor, I am so happy that we found him. So we originally wanted to do, let me be honest. I originally wanted to do it as black and white. Right. That was the stupidest idea I ever had. My good friend Joe Pruitt, who is the publisher at Aftershock Comics, he looked at my original script and looked at Henry's art, and he was like, "Rich, you got to color this thing." And I was like, "But I don't want to color it. I want it to be black and white." And he's like, "Rich, stop being stupid. You need to color this book, because you're not Robert Kirkman, and Robert Kirkman could barely sell a black and white comic." And I was like, okay, fair. So we started, I put out a call, just on some freelancer sites that we knew to try to find a good colorist. Because we really didn't have the budget to color it at this point. Because at this point it was just Henry and myself, and we were kind of doing this on a shoestring budget. I mean, very Kevin Smith, maxing out my credit cards to do this thing. And so we didn't really have a budget to hire a colorist, but we were going to try to find one anyway, and then we'd worry about finding the money. So we interviewed and received samples from probably 24 different colorists who responded to our ad, and they were all good. I mean, some of them had worked for Marvel, some worked for DC, some had done a lot of work for for smaller publishers, things like that. It had a couple of kids that were fresh out of SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design, and they did some excellent work. But Trevor hit us up, and really liked his resume. He'd done some things for Fangoria magazine. He'd done some stuff for some other comics, and we asked him to color one of our pages. And so we sent it off to him. He sent it back to me, and I sent it over to Henry. And Henry responded to me faster than he has ever responded to any message I'd ever sent him. And it was just 2 words: hire him. And I was like, okay. And then I started looking at it. And the whole reason Trevor got the job is because he chose to do a red sky in those opening panels.
That's the reason why I asked the question.
Yeah. And that red sky just changed the whole mood of the entire comic. And if you have any comics creators out there, potential creators, a good colorist will make or break your book. Yes. Do not try to skimp on your colorist. Hire a good one and work with them. And find one that gets your vibe, because it completely changed everything about Cult of Dracula. Yeah. And that once Trevor's colors got involved, we started getting a lot more attention from the publishers that we were submitting to. So it really was the make or break decision that we made, bringing Trevor on board. And we are so lucky to be able to work with him.
Yeah. Yes, I noticed that. I love the fact that he chose that palette because it really enhanced the mood and it really created that atmosphere that complemented the story.
Right. It made you feel like something's not right here. Yes. This world is sick. Yes. It's so sick that the sky is sick. I mean, it's not like a big bright red. No. It's an ugly, diseased, dying red. Yeah. And he knocked it out of the park and completely changed the mood of the book.
Awesome. You mentioned you were sending it out to different publishers. Could you tell us like some of the process that you went through to do this? Who may want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. The first thing that I would like to say, if you are a potential comic creator, if you've got something that you're dreaming up, something you want to do, I am living proof that you can do this, because I'm absolutely nobody special. I'm just a.
That's not true. Come on.
I'm serious. I am living example of mediocre white dude. I grew up in small town Tennessee. I have never done anything special, and I just worked really, really hard, and I had a good idea, and I didn't give up on it. So what I started doing, the thing I learned early on, because I was trying to pitch it as an idea to publishers. Sure. And, I'm very tenacious. So I'm the guy who will walk up to Joe Pruitt at Dragon Con and just sit down and have a conversation with him. And without him even inviting me to make a pitch on my book, I pitched my book. Yeah. And, I did that or I'll pick up the phone and I'll call a publisher, or I'll send them an email, or I'll track them down on Twitter. You have to be polite, but you also have to have a tenacity about you to do this. Absolutely. And so I found out very early on that having an idea, nobody cares. It could be the greatest. You could have an idea to write the Bible Part 2, and nobody's going to care until you can actually show them something, because everybody's got an idea out there. There's 10,000 people with 20,000 ideas. Yes. So ideas are cheap. What you've got to be willing to do is somehow find the money to actually produce a proof of concept. And, I've seen some people take the tact of, maybe they'll do 5 or 6 pages as a teaser, or maybe in the film industry, what people do is they make rip-o-matics, or they make trailers for their film idea. So a lot of people like to do the comic book equivalent of that, which is writing a 6, 8, 10-page teaser. But what I decided to do was just go ahead and make the entire first issue out of my own pocket. Hired Henry, paid him way less than his normal rate, because it's all I could afford, and he just loved the project. So we produced the entire first issue in black and white, and then I was shopping that around to different publishers, Aftershock and to Scout and Vault, a lot of the small, I didn't walk up to Marvel and say, hey, here, publish my book. You got to go for the smaller guys, the small press people that are gonna, they're willing to, take a gamble on something because maybe they catch lightning in a bottle. And then we went back once we got Trevor on board and we did the colors and we just redid the entire first issue. I mean, I went to the book that I took to Joe to pitch the first time. I printed it at Office Depot and I had did the spiral bound thing and everything. I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, but I didn't know any better at the time. And so Joe was like, you could have just sent me this in a PDF.
Right.
Yeah, and I was like, I guess I could, but I don't have that right now. And so luckily Joe and I had become kind of friends by this time, so he was very understanding. But yeah, so Aftershock looked at it and he kicked me over to Scout, where his brother Jim is one of the managing directors over there. And Scout was very interested for a time. We thought we were going to go with Scout until COVID hit. And COVID kind of flipped the whole world upside down. We went from having 4 interested publishers to having basically none, because everybody was telling us that, hey, we can do this, but we're probably not going to be able to do it until 2022, maybe 2023.
Wow.
Because they didn't know if they were going to be in business. I mean, seriously, that's how scary COVID was for those months. And so Henry and I talked it over and we did some soul searching, had our kind of, come to Jesus pity party. And we were like, well, fuck it. Why don't we? I hope I didn't. Sorry. Bleep that if you have to. We were going to self-publish it. And, we were like, okay, so we're going to self-publish this. Maybe we sell 500 issues. My mom will probably buy 200 and we'll be okay. And, that was our goal at the time. And then we got involved with a company called Second Sight. They heard about the book because, it was already building a little bit of a reputation through the small press publishers. And they reached out to me and offered me the opportunity to publish it through their label. Nice. And so at that time, one of our other slightly larger publishers got back into the picture and made us an offer, but we ultimately decided it was better to be Second Sight's #1 priority than to be just another book in their previews solicit. So Second Sight gave me the freedom to really come up with a lot of creative marketing approaches and promote the book the way I wanted. And so we did. And I think my sales numbers really surprised them because issue #1 sold more than 10,000 units.
Nice.
Which is insane. I mean, that's more than a lot of Marvel and DC books sell.
Absolutely.
And so Second Sight was a little bit overwhelmed, I think, by that. They did a great job, gave me everything I could possibly need, but I don't think they were prepared to print and ship that volume of a book. And so I'm actually going to break some news for you guys right here.
Where's my drum roll?
So Cult of Dracula is no longer a Second Sight publishing property. We recently completed a deal and we're moving it to Source Point Press.
Nice. Congratulations.
Good for you, man. Good for you.
Yes. There's nothing at all that Second Sight did. It was an amicable move. Second Sight, Marcus Roberts, who is the editor-in-chief over there at Second Sight, he was like, look, Rich, we're proud that we were able to help you get this far. And we've pushed this book as far as we possibly can. Awesome. So they told me to go to Source Point with their blessing. So they're a really cool company for new creators to work for. And that really tells me a lot about them because they realized that my success and Cult of Dracula's continued success was in the long term was more important to their overall business model than taking the short-term gain of continuing to struggle to publish it. So, that I will be forever grateful to Bradley and Marcus and Spike, all those guys at Second Sight. But I'm very, very happy to be with Source Point now because we're going to be resoliciting #1 as Cult of Dracula Remastered. Henry's going to go back in. He's going to fix some of the art that he's not exactly happy with. We're going to add 4 new pages to one. So brand new art. we're going to do a little section called Brom's Case Files. So Agent Brom is investigating what's happened, and so he's got these FBI files that are, going to be the background information on all the characters that you've met. So it's going to tell. We're going to basically get to tell a mini story inside of the book. So we're going to give readers a reason. If you already bought Cult of Dracula #1, we're going to give you another reason to come back and buy it. Now, because you're going to get new stuff. It's bonus features. And so Source Point's going to be soliciting that through Diamond, and we'll be in Diamond's previews in January. So
Awesome.
Super excited about that.
That's great. That's great, dude. I'm happy for you, man. That's awesome. That is awesome. I'm looking at the cover for the second book. Is that going to change? Because that's creepy as hell, man.
Nope, that's going to be the cover, and it's terrifying. If you guys are collectors or investors in comics, issue #2 is probably going to be the most collectible book in the series, because that's where we introduce Dracula's vampire brides, and they're going to be the most popular characters. People are going to love them. If there's any character in these books that people are going to cosplay at conventions,
it's going to be
the brides. And they're fantastic. And so, those 3 characters are what Gyula Nemeth, he's a Hungarian artist. He drew them, and it's absolutely terrifying.
Oh, dude, it's sick. Yeah, sick.
I'm very proud of the way those came out too, because the brides, they're a staple in Dracula lore.
Sure,
they're in every version of Dracula, but they always get kind of tossed aside a little bit. They're just 3 women, and they usually don't have names, and they don't have any really defining characteristics other than they're Dracula's brides. So I wanted to kind of take a new flip with this, and so each one of these brides was an important, either it could be a Viking skald or a Nubian priestess or, a Native American wise woman, but they were important wise women from different periods in human history. And each one of them was selected to be part of Dracula's coven, as it were. And so each one has their own identities and their own backstories and their own cultures. I think we're going to get to explore that maybe in a one-shot in more depth. We covered a little bit in the book, but we're going to go really do a deep dive in a one-shot coming up sometime soon, I think. But the brides are fantastic characters, and that cover by Gyula Nemeth is...
Dude, awesome. I wanted to ask you, Cult of Dracula, did you do a lot of research on cults?
Oh my God. I'm probably on an FBI watch list. No kidding. I have listened to over 180 hours of interviews with Charles Manson.
Wow.
And funny story. When I was researching this, there was a Rolling Stone interview that I could only find in print, but I knew the audio tapes existed somewhere. I was trying to find them, and so I was going on Reddit, and I was putting out there like, "Hey, does anybody have this? Have you seen it? Whatever." And so I got an email from a guy who turned out to be the webmaster for the official Charles Manson fan club. There's actually an official fan club. And he said, I've got this interview, and I'll send it to you. And so he sent it to me, and he kept sending me things and just kept sending me things and kept sending me things. So I've heard interviews with Charles Manson that most people have never heard. And you want to really screw with your head, stay awake till 3, 4 in the morning. In my office is in the basement of my house. I've got a little office, and nobody else is moving in the house. It's pitch black dark. I've just got me and my computer screen and my little lamp, and I'm just listening to Charles Manson talk for hours and hours. That messes with your head.
Hell yeah.
And, so yes, I did a lot of research into Manson and Jim Jones and David Koresh and Warren Jeffs and so many different cults. And then also just cults that have existed throughout human history. Those all, everybody knows when you mention them, because they're so recent. They've been here in America in the last 50, 60 years. But cults and the occult is something that is pervasive in human history and all human cultures. And so we really wanted to explore that, because this really is a book about cults and the occult as much as it is vampires.
That explains why that guy is standing behind you.
Probably.
Yeah, no, the reason for the question, Rich, is because I just recently watched, I don't know if you guys have seen it, that show, The Vow, on HBO.
Yes.
And, you know, you talk about one of your characters, you know, was obviously a person financing.
Mhm.
Here. And I found that interesting that you threw that in there. You know what I mean? Whether you have a financier who
Yep.
kind of throws his money into it, and that character is very interesting. So yeah, I mean, I loved it, man. I love the book. I'm happy for you. Congratulations. This thing is, I'm sure it's going to be, you know, it's going to take off even more. So congratulations, and thank you so much for coming on the show and talking to us about it.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here, and happy to come back anytime.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
and I just want to mention, I said, for anyone who's listening who's aspiring to break into the industry, you provided a playbook on how to start something, finish something, build something, but also, if anyone's paying attention, just the way you are approaching your brand and your product, just about thinking about cosplay, just about thinking about the next level. It's obvious you've created this world where you see it going into so many different layers, and that's the key, because it's obviously something that you're passionate about and that you want. It's just not a hobby,
Right.
And I see it there. So that's part of it. It's like when you want to develop something, make sure you give heart to it, you give life to it. You're a student of the game, and obviously you've shown exactly that you've studied it. I'm not going to dive into trying to listen to Charles Manson because I'm already creeped out by that. But you know, thank you for providing a playbook for those out there that are listening that aspire to do what you're actually doing right now.
Absolutely. You know, I had a lot of really good people that offered me help when I was coming up. And if I'm ever in a position to be able to return that, I want to be able to return that, you know, because I would not be here where I am today if people like Georges Genti and Joe Pruitt and Tony Todd hadn't offered me advice and assistance and help. So, you know, I totally believe in paying it forward. And so, you know, if I can help somebody and offer advice, you know, I'm on social media. You know, you can go to the Cult of Dracula page. You can find me on Facebook, Twitter, or whatever. Reach out, man. If I can offer you advice, I will. If I can introduce you to somebody, I'm happy to do it. If I can tell you how I screwed up and did it wrong, I'll tell you that too. Yeah. You know, because I just want, there are so many talented people out there that want to do what I was lucky enough to be able to do, and I would love to be able to help them do that.
Perfect.
Outstanding.
Man. Well said. Well said. Thank you so much,
buddy.
Richard, for coming.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Any final words before we break?
Yeah, you know, just check us out on Facebook. That's where you're going to find a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. Henry posts a ton of stuff on there. It's just at Cult of Dracula Comic. We're also on Twitter at Cult Comic and Instagram at Cult Comic. And of course, reach out, contact your local comic book shop, and ask them to order Cult of Dracula. It's coming out from Source Point Press. It'll be in January previews with Cult of Dracula #1 remastered. So pretty fantastic.
Perfect timing for this episode. So
Absolutely.
Happy holidays. Good luck. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Good luck with your stuff. And hopefully next year, social distancing turns into socializing, and we run into each other at a Comic-Con.
I hope so, man.
All right, buddy.
Yep.
Thanks a lot.
Richard, take care, man. Thank you.
All right, then. So we're back to the main screen. I really enjoyed this interview.
Yeah, excellent. Richard
really
was excellent, dude. Excellent. I mean, the guy knows what he's talking about. He's personable. He was like, you know, he gave us a lot of great information, and it's true what he says, man. Like, just don't give up. Just keep doing what you're doing, and that's what he's doing.
The key word was tenacity.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's the stuff. You know, I always preach that. You know, and I think I've demonstrated that throughout the years that, you know what, the only rules are the ones that you create for yourself.
Yeah.
Right? You know, and I was definitely fascinated by his journey. And I was able to get a good insight into his process and his goals. If you listen closely, you were able to get an insight into where he wants to take this property. And I think he has a good solid plan, and all the stars are aligning for him because of his tenacity, his hard work, his determination.
Dude, 10,000 copies is nothing to you know what I mean?
Cray.
Like 10,000 copies, that's a lot of freaking copies, bro. That is excellent. No, you know, no wonder they're like picking them up. Like, look, listen, man, come over here. You know, 10,000 copies. You know, like that's a lot of copies, man.
That is fantastic. So thank you, Rich, for being on the show. Good luck. We'll follow up in 2021. Hopefully we'll run into a Comic-Con and you know, Rich, when you get that Netflix deal, you know, remember the little guys. I want a front row seat at your screening. All right, don't mess that one up.
There you go. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, big announcement for us also. I mean, he's going to be in January. He'll be you know, setting the world on fire with his comic. But we're also going to be doing something in January. Sammy. That's right. For all of you who supported the Catch the Craze comic that is coming out in January, might already be out, I don't know yet. We are actually going to be doing issue 2. And we have a Kickstarter coming out for that January 14th.
That is great.
Get ready for part 2. Issue number 2 will be coming out with your help. Obviously, January 14th will be our Kickstarter campaign. Whoa, easy.
Lip biscuit. I need some pills.
What's that blue stuff? Kickstarter, January 14th. Get ready for it. Go to Kickstarter. You'll be able to check out the page.
Get ready, because here I come. Get ready, because here
Part
I
2's
come.
coming. So yeah.
I'm on my way. Remember? I never met a girl who makes me feel the way that you do. It's all right.
Okay. You just kept going. You just didn't stop.
Yeah, no. Yes, so, yes, George is right. Stop acting up right here. Stop acting up. See that? SAP. It should be SAU. I put SAP because the U's right here. The P's right there. My wife's like, why is it SAP? Isn't stop acting up with a U? I said, yeah, the U's right there. See, it's lowercase. But stop acting up. You can get your copy of Stop Acting Up. Just hit the link. But anyway, yes, our Kickstarter number 2 for Catch the Crazies will launch January 14th, 2021. If we're still here, you know, because the world is going bonkers. You know, so yes, we're so excited and for that, and we'll have this time around we'll have pages for you. So
we'll have some pages.
Again, thank you to everybody who made our first Kickstarter a successful Kickstarter. And we are looking to make the second Kickstarter even that much more fantabulous. The crazies are going insane. And, you know, at this point, we can't look into the future to determine where we would be at this point. But we're sharing with you that January 14th is the kickoff, the launch date for Catch the Crazies issue 2 on Kickstarter.
That's right. And follow us on Instagram at official IG page of the Crazies.
Yes.
That's all one word.
Yes.
Official
So we
IG
launched
page of the Crazies. Follow us on there. Follow Sam and myself on Catch the Craze on Instagram.
Yes.
Follow me on Medina Whip. Go to the website, crazycomics.com. Crazy, CRAZEE comics.com.
Yes.
Go to medinawhip.com, which will be changing
So whip
to get
it.
your meds with a Z.
Whip it
in
good.
the next few days. So looking out for that. And yeah.
So,
what else you got, Sam?
So I just wanted to say something. So launch the Catch the Crazies Instagram page in August, and we currently have 750 followers.
Nice, maybe
and
more.
Every day we're getting at least daily 2 to 3 new followers on Catch the Crazies. So I want to say thank you to all the followers of official Catch the Crazies on IG. So it's the official page of the Crazies on IG. I want to say thank you to all of you who are supporting the Crazies. You're going to make the Crazies that next animated series on Comedy Central. Whoever picks it up, but someone's going to pick it up because it's going to be the Shiznits. But it's a joint. And we'd also want to just say, you know what? For the 1,166 followers on our IG for Catch the Craze, thank you so much, because that one keeps blowing up, and we got a few more today. We got 4 more followers on our Catch the Craze on IG, so thank you so much for supporting us. We also want to grow our Facebook page, which we currently have 122 on our Facebook page, but that's where we're going to launch everything and our newsletter and all this other stuff. But yeah, so we're excited for the new year. We don't know because, again, we're recording this in November. November. Today is the final day to cast your votes. We don't know what tomorrow brings. We're hoping that the sun will come out tomorrow. I don't know if it is. It's probably going to be where the hood at. So we don't know. But whatever it is, we're hoping that the United States of these Americas, we start realizing that we need each other and that we represent hope and prosperity for the world. And if we lose sight of that, the world lose sight of that, and it's over. So I just hope that everyone stays safe the next couple of days, no matter what the outcome is from the election. And you know what? It doesn't matter. For me, it really just matters that what we do to each other. Respect each other, have a difference of opinion, and agree to disagree and move on. There's no reason for anyone to take it to that next level. We're all entitled to our own opinions. If everyone had the same opinion, we would not be the U.S. Just remember that. I just want to say that. I don't want to get all caught up in all this stuff, but I just want to say, respect your fellow man. Do unto others as you expect to be done to you. Make sure you tell your loved ones before you walk out the house how much you love them. Give them a hug and a kiss, and make sure you give thanks. Say thank you that I'm able to breathe. Thank you that I'm able to see. I'm able to walk. I'm able to talk. I'm able to feel, taste, touch, all those things that we take for granted. But that's just me. I'm going to get off my soapbox. Sorry, I don't know how I got there, but I did. But it is an important moment in time, and I just felt like I just had to get that off my chest. But I just want to say I appreciate you, Georgie Medina.
I appreciate you, sir. Yes. Merry Christmas, because this is the Christmas episode.
Yes, this is the Christmas episode, right?
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Yes, Happy New Year. And what is it? Where was it? Who was it? Oh, every time Frosty the Snowman came back to life, he's like, Merry Christmas. Right? Or was it Happy Birthday? Happy Birthday.
Not sure. I haven't seen it.
It's one of those things. I think it was Happy Birthday. What is your you know what? We talk about Christmas. What is your favorite holiday movie?
Christmas holiday movie, I'm going to say it's Home Alone, for sure. 100%. I think every Christmas I can watch that movie, laugh every time Joe Pesci and I can't remember the actor's name, but Marv hit the screen. It's just insane. So yeah, I think that's probably what my favorite one right there. What about yours? My
favorite of all time is the original Miracle on 34th Street.
The black and white joint.
Yes, that's my favorite of all time. My favorite comedy holiday Christmas is Home Alone, but my favorite of all time, I can watch Miracle on 34th Street. It's one of the reasons why I always wanted to work for Macy's.
Nice.
Because of what it represented. And it's one of the reasons why I did the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. I had to, do it one time, get it out, it's on my bucket list. And, but I remember when I started working at Macy's during the holiday season, and they call it Holiday Lane. It's where all the Christmas decorations are set up. And they would start setting it up in August. And I would get there at 6 a.m. The store doesn't open until 9 o'clock, whatever. So I'd walk Holiday Lane, and it's quiet. There's nobody around. And it was just magical. And then I remember doing the excitement leading up to the Thanksgiving Day Parade. And it was just special, something special. And it was like the magic of Macy's. And, so when I thought Christmas, I thought Miracle on 34th Street, I thought Macy's as a kid, Gimbals, all those things, the nostalgic stuff. I remember I always wanted to go to FAO Schwartz, but when I was a kid, I thought it was just for the rich people. So I was intimidated, right?
Yeah.
And I remember my first time at FAO Schwartz was, all right, so I was in security, right? And we picked up a shoplifter. And the shoplifter had some stuff stolen from FAO. And so I went and I took it back to FAO. I worked for a different organization. I took it back to FAO and I got these coupons from FAO. And I wound up getting, because they hooked me up, I wound up getting, and I have it on my shelf, the limited edition, special edition that only for FAO Schwartz editions of Spawn figures that were in the casing. And I got a few of those and I wound up bringing it home. So, good deed, didn't get noticed. So,
hooked you up.
yes. And if... Too bad they closed, but the best hot chocolate was always at FAO Schwartz. So you go to FAO Schwartz, you get yourself a nice hot chocolate with big chunky marshmallows, and you go across the street to Central Park and you go ice skating.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best.
Yeah. Now Christmas in New York, it was amazing. I don't know how it'll be this year, but it definitely is. Like even the changing of the seasons, and it's just a different vibe. So
yeah, just walking down Fifth Avenue and looking at all the holiday windows when it's snowing. So there was nothing like walking down Fifth Avenue in the winter when it's snowing, looking at all the beautiful lights, going to Rockefeller Center and looking at the tree and ice skating at Rockefeller Center, walking through Times Square with all the glitz and the glamour. There was nothing like it. And it's funny because when you buy a condo in a residential building, you're looking for amenities, right? And so those amenities are doorman, a gym, whether it's a daycare center, parking, all these things, dry cleaning. You're looking for these amenities. Yeah. When people buy apartments in New York City, the amenities are access to Times Square, access to Fifth Avenue, access to Wall Street. It's access. And those are the amenities. That's why you pay a premium. So after COVID hit and we had the riots and all of the destabilization of our way of life, thousands of people left New York because it was no longer. Dude, you got to get a plug, bro. You gotta get a plug. And I'm like, I don't understand that. How is that? You got batteries?
I'm at 39%.
39%.
We've been on here for about an hour and a half.
An hour and 17 minutes. Stop acting up. Stop acting up. You can get this shirt today.
By the time we're done, trust me. Yeah. Go ahead, finish. Tell me what you were saying.
Yeah. You're paying your amenities are.
Yeah.
The taxi cabs, Uber, the restaurant row, you have, Wall Street, you have Times Square, you have all those theater, Broadway. Those are the amenities. And then when chaos loomed over New York and social distancing, all those people left.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
The theaters closed down.
Yeah. So the amenities are gone. So why am I paying a premium?
Right.
A studio apartment, you're paying $4,000 a month for a room that's the size of this room. Yep. Your bed is right here. You roll over, there's a sink and stove, and then you roll over, there's a toilet and shower. But you're paying $4,000 for it. The reason why you do it is because of your access, and you don't have that anymore because of social distancing. Restaurants are closed, Broadway's closed. You know what? I'm gonna go back to Alabama. I'm gonna go back to Wisconsin. I'm gonna live with my parents. And I'm going to invest in technology and a in-home movie theater system and, Netflix the hell out of myself. And,
it's true. That's what's happening.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what's happening. But not to leave on a down note.
Yes.
Merry Christmas, everybody. Enjoy your time with your family. Like Sam said, Sam, Merry Christmas, my man. I will see you next week because we do have another show next week. See you next
time. See you next week.
Who do we have on the show next week? Let's see.
Next week is the photographer.
It's the New Year's show. Yeah. Which last year we actually did like a almost like a countdown show.
Most people use plugs. I'm just saying, but
yeah. Well, I didn't expect.
to do these, man.
I didn't expect that. But anyway.
All right. So I'm Sam the Crazy Man Vera.
George the Dreamer Medina.
And we is out.
It's just easy. It's not.
Acquiesce.
No, I was talking about my friend Acquiesce. I met him the other. Say my name, right?
This is what you were thinking? Oh,
He described me. He said, I'm the. What?
Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze. You are listening to Catch the Craze on Catch the Craze. You're listening to Catch the Craze.
Candy girl.